ik hoor steeds rare, gekke dingen. Auto's vallen en op de grond naar mij toe. Dus ik heb een idee bedacht. Reageren op de meest scary video's op YouTube.
I'm a big fan of spoopy horror, creepy occurrences, and especially anything inspired by true stories. But when I need a break, I would
by
get
the
my
way,
phone and
this
spend some time
is
with Best
Snow.
Fiends. It's a cute, casual mobile puzzle game. I just hit level 89, and
Hey, I'm Sapphire.
Best
something
Fiends.
scary?
Click, click, shush.
The following story was inspired by a submission from Ellie. Legend has it that in a rural Navajo town called Many Farms, there was once a fruit tree orchard behind the lake. The town's less fortunate would steal from it late at night when the owner was asleep. When he finally caught on, the owner was so angry that he asked the devil to turn him into a tall, hairless, and incredibly fast monster to scare away the thieves. The orchard may be gone now, but all the town's elders claim that the monster is still there, waiting to attack anyone who comes near his property. Click, click, shh, they'd say. That's the sound he makes, like a horse clicking and dragging his feet. If you ask any of the townspeople about this legend, they'll tell you about a man named Coy. He was working for a construction company building a new gas station. If the work went into the night, he was paid overtime. So, some nights he would stay as late as 3 a.m. But every morning, his grandmother, who he lived with, would beg him to come home earlier because she was afraid of the click-click shh. Coy would always laugh her off. Does it sound like this, Grandma? He'd tap his cheap, oversized boots twice on the ground and drag them, while chuckling at his poor grandma's reaction. You listen to me, young man. Something lives by that lake. I've heard it, she'd insist. But he'd pretend not to hear her as he ran off for work. One night, when he was working late, a pair of elders on his crew began trading their own stories. The first described in eerie detail a tall figure with jaundiced yellow eyes that crept through the trees along the lake, watching him. The other claimed he'd run for his life once after fishing at the lake at night. Coy found himself taking a pause in his drilling work to hear the stories. When his foreman walked up and told him to get back to work, "Sorry if we scared you," the first elder said. "Those old stories don't scare me," Coy replied. But seeing the fear in his eyes, the first elder gave a knowing nod. That night, driving home from work, Coy's truck suddenly shut down. The battery had died, which chuckled to himself about the elder's stories. And that's when he heard it. Click, click, shh. Coy stopped and turned around, but nothing was there. He walked on, and there it came again. Click, click, shh. Thinking it must be the elders from work messing with him, Coy stopped and said, "Very funny. You can come out now." Click, click, shh. Coy turned again to see a figure in the tree line. It was tall and shaped like a human. Growing angry, Coy slung a rock at it when, suddenly, it charged at him. Terrified, Coy ran for his life. The click-click followed his exact footsteps. He ran faster and faster, but the monster was catching up. As the end of the lake came into view, he was certain he'd be safe if he could just get to the other side. But then, Coy's oversized boots came loose, and he tripped and fell over. He heard the click-click shh as he turned to see its piercing yellow eyes and 6-inch claws glistening in the moonlight. He was tall, at least 7 feet, and his pale, hairless skin was covered in scars and goosebumps. His mouth looked like a shark's, several rows of teeth protruding. Coy looked up at the monster and whispered, "I'm sorry, Grandmother." No one saw Coy ever again. Visit to Many Farms. You just might hear the click-click shh in the night. But if you do, don't bother running. You won't be fast enough. For them in this episode. If you'd like to join our VIP program, visit patreon.com/snarled.
I'm Markia. Want to hear something scary?
Oh yeah. Oké, laten we gewoon beginnen. En jullie zien het wel in de
The following story is inspired by Charlotte. My neighborhood had always felt very safe. Our neighbors knew each other, and the only crimes ever reported were things like stolen bikes or car break-ins, and those were rare. As I walked home from school that day, it never crossed my mind that anything bad could happen. I got home and started my homework at the kitchen table while my mom was making dinner. The local news was on, which was perfect for background noise, because the news in our town was always boring. But today, the newscasters caught my ear. A man known for committing a spree of brutal killings in our town 3 decades ago had just escaped from prison. I'd heard his name before, the Grim Gouger. They showed security footage of the escape as they were giving his description. Tall.
What is a Grim Gouger,
wearing a white
guys?
mask.
What the hell
They
is
said
a
he was
Grim
mentally
Gouger?
unstable and armed with knives he'd stolen from the kitchen during the escape. And from the bloody shoe tracks he left behind, it looked like he'd already used them. My mom saw the fear on my face just as the newscaster started to tell how the Grim Gouger got his name. She turned off the TV. The news loves to scare people, she said. But if you don't see it, it isn't happening. See? My mom went back to cooking. I tried to
Nieuws is altijd de waarheid, jongens. Dus kijken jullie nieuws, zeg het
That
in
night, my
de
dad was running late, so we started dinner without him. My mom told some pretty funny jokes, and for a moment, everything was fine. We were totally safe. The news really was just about scaring people. But when my dad arrived home, I could tell something was way off. He went straight to my mom and whispered in her ear. She then turned to me and said, "Straight to bed, young lady." I got up from the table, and as I did, I could just make out the slight buzz of a helicopter outside. As I settled in for bed, I could hear the sound of the helicopter grow louder, along with a high-pitched whine of sirens. Meanwhile, downstairs, my parents were frantically checking that all the doors and windows were locked while speaking in hushed tones. "I'll stay up," my dad whispered. My mom agreed to stay up with him. My loud buzzing rattled the whole house and sent my heart racing. I grabbed my iPad and quickly logged back in to find the live footage of the manhunt still streaming. The helicopter spotlight drifted over a 2-story townhouse that looked all too familiar. The Rosens. They lived just 3 houses away. As I watched the Rosens' house all lit up in the spotlight, a man in black clothing darted around the corner out of sight. "Mom? Dad?" I called out, but they were either asleep or they couldn't hear me. The helicopter drifted away. My mom was right. She had to be. If you don't see it, it isn't happening. Then a smash of broken glass came from downstairs.
Oh God.
Followed by the screams of my mom and dad. I ran down the steps, trying to keep my feet quiet, and peeked into the kitchen. There were my mom and dad tied to chairs. Both their eyes were gone, leaving empty sockets, as I realized how the Grim Gouger got his name. I covered my mouth, but a small cry escaped. The Grim Gouger turned and looked at me through his white mask.
"It's okay. If you don't see it, it isn't happening."
He walked toward me, repeating,
"If you don't see it, it isn't happening."
Laten we nu naar de volgende gaan en dan gaan we afsluiten met de video, denk ik.
Hey Ottings, it's your Ate Sapphire.
Yes,
Before we get into today's
Sapphire in
episode,
the
I wanted to
house.
tell you.
Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary?
Oh, yes, again. Dun, dun.
She is not what she seems.
She's not what she seems. What the
This
hell
story
is
comes
that
from the Creepypasta
supposed to be?
subreddit, written by username Cupid's Fate. If you haven't seen the Something Scary episode about the elevator game, I highly recommend watching it first.
The elevator game.
About a year ago, me and my family took a vacation to America. We stayed in this fancy upscale hotel. We checked in and got our key to our room on the 5th floor. Every
hebben
night
jullie
I'd go down to the
ook wel
lobby after
gelijk de
dinner and
elevator
read a
game
book or
gezien?
watch a movie with my
Versneld.
headphones
Check hem
and have
nu
little chats
zeker.
with the receptionist, Tom. One night I was in the lobby reading and my
Oké,
mom texted me
want ik heb
asking
het
when I was going to
daarvoor
come
al
back up to the
gezien,
room.
dus.
I looked at the time and quickly
toen
realized
ging
it
ik
was
opnemen
already
toen ik
11
dit
p.m.
ging kijken,
So I
dus
went back to
dat
my
is
room
de
and
reden.
stayed up for a bit. After half an hour or so, I realized that I'd left my purse in the lobby. My dad and I kept trying to call Tom at reception via our hotel phone to see if he'd seen it or if it was still there. No answer. After about 10 minutes of trying, I finally decided to head back down. As I got into the elevator, I saw this shy-looking girl, my age, like 16 years old. She was wearing a really cute sweater with a triangle design on it. "I love your outfit," I said. No reply. "My name's Marissa. What's yours?" She just ignored me and hit the button for the first floor. We arrived on the 10th floor. As the doors opened, the dark, empty hallway stared back at us. I assumed that she would hit the first floor button again, but she didn't. So I leaned over and pressed it myself. Just as I did that, she was stepping forward. She ran into my arm for a moment and stepped back. After I pulled my arm away, she stepped out of the elevator and into the hallway. Confused, I called out to her, "Where are you going? I thought you were going to the first floor." As soon as I said that, she bolted. I shrugged it off and hit the lobby button. I got to reception and asked Tom if he'd seen my purse. Luckily he had, and he handed it over to me. "You could have just called. I would have been happy to send someone up to bring it to you," Tom said. "I actually did try calling from my room about half an hour ago," I explained, "but I couldn't get through. I figured the line was busy or something." No, my line was definitely open. I'll have to look into that," Tom said. Before I turned around to head back to the elevator, I asked Tom if there were any deaf or special needs guests at the hotel. I told him about the girl in the elevator and how I might have scared or offended her. He told me he wasn't sure, and even if he did know, it wasn't information he should be sharing. I understood and headed to my room. The next day, me and my family were going out for the day for some tourist activities. I waved at Tom as we passed reception, and then he waved for me to come over. "That girl you mentioned last night, what did she look like?" he asked. "She was like 16, probably. She was wearing this really cute sweater with triangles." Tom looked incredibly worried.
Oh God.
"She never returned to her room last night. Her parents called this morning looking for her." My heart sank. That poor girl. "She was seen pressing random buttons in the elevator on the CCTV," Tom continued. "That sounded familiar to me. I remembered seeing a video like that back in 2013, I think." Tom showed me the security footage, and sure enough, there she was, looking nervous, pressing random buttons, then me entering on the 5th floor, then her leaving on the 10th. That night, I Googled the elevator game, and I skimmed the rules. When you reach the 5th floor, a young woman may enter the elevator. Do not look at her. Do not speak to her. She is not what she seems. So that's why she was ignoring me. I was part of the game. Her game. But I wasn't a monster, I was just a person. Right? Am I not what I seem? Am I dangerous?
Oh my God, ik ben zo confused.
It's been almost a year. I wonder if my being there interfered with her ritual somehow. I wonder if I'm the reason she's stuck. If you haven't already, I highly recommend watching the elevator game episode of Something Scary. Thank you to all of our patrons, especially Marissa, who had a character named after them in today's episode. If you'd like to join our VIP...
Zo jongens, dat was het van het Halloween special video. Dat ik lekker reageert op scary Halloween video's. De scary video's van Snarl. Dus check het kanaal zeker en de video's die ik heb gekeken. En nog even één ding. Ik denk dat Super Mario Bros. Troop episode 1 in januari komt. January 1. Oké, thank you first. Dan zeg ik mijn tot de volgende video. En op naar de outro. En ja, ik zie je de volgende keer. Dan maar weer. Of bij iemand anders kanaal. En dan zeg ik maar één ding. Adios!